Damn, my hair's getting long. Much better. Let's do this. What's up, guys, and welcome to another video with your host, Talos, one half of the tag team champions, the Boyz. If you guys remember in the previous video, I was waiting for some equipment to come in. That equipment is here, as you can see. It looks very pretty, kind of displays the background a little bit, and also, if you haven't already seen the sign, sub to the Boyz. Of course, if you like the video, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Show some love over on our Twitch as well. We do stream there every Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And just come hang out with us, talk about stocks, investment, or the game that we're playing. We'll hope to see you there. Now, moving on to today's topic now, TikTok. The fascinating app. Dancing. You can also do other stuff as well. You can do covers, lip syncing, more dancing, but it's just a little viral app that's owned by a little small company in China. Things about to get a little juicy here because it might be banned. It's actually been banned once before. Could be banned here in the US. Let's talk about that stock, and as well as, should you invest in other Chinese related stocks? Are those also in trouble? Now, before we get started, a word from our sponsors. Today's sponsor of the video is Webull, the comprehensive tool for buying and selling stocks.
Webull offers 2 free stocks, one for signing up and one for the initial deposit.
Not only that, but they also occasionally offer additional free shares through various contests.
Sign up today and get started with your 2 free stocks.
And of course, using our affiliate links down below also helps support the show right here that you're watching. Now, as a disclaimer, as per usual, I am not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money. This is just my personal opinions and what I see in the market as of today. Now, I do want to make a quick correction on last week's video. I kind of made some bad information in terms of like who owns TikTok. Baidu. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it quite correctly. Baidu is actually one of the platforms that owns the viral short video app TikTok. I actually misread it and I thought that Baidu owns TikTok, but it's actually another company that owns it. It's ByteDance, and that is who we're going to talk about, as well as Baidu, primarily in this video. But enough of that, off to the main content. What kind of sparked this conversation is like an email that I got from Robinhood Snacks themselves. Basically, this article right here, TikTok's future is cloudy as the US looks into a security ban. India is already on it. The viral video app is owned by a China-based company known as ByteDance, the most valuable company, private startup in the world, estimated at around 100 billion. Now, later in this video, we'll probably go and like compare and contrast of the other publicly traded companies. That's what the equivalent valuation is now, is at 100 billion for this company, and it's still private. So you cannot buy this stock. Unfortunately, it's not publicly traded in the US market. So a little recaps here, that's kind of interesting. Within the first few months of its 2018 US launch, the US app itself, it reached the #1 on the App Store, beating giants like Instagram and YouTube in 2019. TikTok has over 738 million global downloads. Today, though, TikTok has been downloaded over 2 billion times and has an estimated 80 million users in the US alone. There has been some security concerns around TikTok when it's tied to China heating up in the US. The US has already banned employees of many government agencies like the Army from having TikTok on the work phones. Last week, Wells Fargo told employees to remove it from the company's devices, and Amazon did the same and then weirdly backtracked. And to kind of make it worse is India's full-on ban on TikTok and 58 other Chinese apps on the national security concerns. India was also TikTok's largest market by far, driving 660 million downloads since 2017. This may have cost ByteDance roughly $6 billion in lost ad sales. It's huge. It's very huge. And of course, in the US market, President Trump said he's considering banning TikTok and other Chinese apps. China itself has even banned TikTok. The big takeaway from here is TikTok has a huge US market influence. Despite being a non-public, non-US company, the explosive growth has a major implication for the American media. It's the biggest threat for disturbing social giants like Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. And recently, it's been trying to appeal to the American government. It brought on a former Disney executive CEO and is considering adding a China headquarters. Now, I brought this media to attention. I kind of read most of that article, but to just kind of sum up to my personal take on this is TikTok is definitely in trouble. I have TikTok as well. I have it on my phone installed and whatnot, but it does have an interesting idea where it talks about security concerns and how they could pass the information of to the Chinese government. We don't know that's true. That might be just something that's up in the air and something that just kind of throwing out there, kind of throw shade in China and its government and whatnot. But even China themselves is trying to ban TikTok, so that in itself doesn't make it like it doesn't fit. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. Obviously, that's up to you if you feel that TikTok might be a concern. Delete it. Delete it off your your phone if you have that concern. You know, that's totally up to you. But what I'm saying here in this video is, could these affect other Chinese companies? So do you fear losing money out of these companies? Because I know last week I talked about Tencent, if you guys remember that video, and how much I love Tencent and the fact that they're pushing off for their own streaming platform, Trovo. But you know, could that be affected? Could I lose money from that investment? Could like big companies like Alibaba be affected as well? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about in this video. And hopefully I can like kind of sway you to not worry so much. This is just another stage. The stock could dip. We'll go ahead and check that data out in a little bit. But should you just panic sell, or should you just keep it, buy more at a lower price, and just wait till it goes back up? Because it might not be going anywhere. You know, obviously the choice is up to you. I'm not a financial advisor, but this is just my personal opinion. And I guess let's just talk about it. If I haven't already mentioned, it's about to get really juicy. So grab your favorite juice: orange juice, apple juice, corn juice. I don't know, whatever juice you, gin juice. Go ahead. Let's talk about it. All right, rolling into our first article here. US considering TikTok ban as China threats to global internet freedom grows. Close tie between China's tech companies and its authoritative government has started to catch on to the Trump administration's attention. Last Monday, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo told Fox News' Laura Ingraham that the US is considering looking at quote unquote banning TikTok, the video sharing social media platform owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance, over its ties to the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. He cited the threat of this Chinese surveillance to the national security, as TikTok's user data is surely being passed on to the CCP. President Trump took a different tack, listing a ban on TikToks as one of his many potential ways to punish the Chinese government for its hand in the coronavirus pandemic. Big takeaway from this is the problem isn't the content itself that TikTok users make in sharing around the world, but it's the company's malicious collection of users' data and its close, troubling relationships with the CCP. That's pretty much where this whole information is coming from and why they consider to ban this particular app, as well as any Chinese-related companies. Because obviously Alibaba is one of the other companies that also has this, which is pretty much like the Chinese version of Amazon. They also collect information on you as well for recommendations and stuff like that, and push out data into the algorithm, which people think that's going to the CCP. So, some of the Chinese tech companies in consideration from this ban is obviously Huawei, Tencent that I talked about last week, and Alibaba. They also use artificial intelligence to collect that user data and a bit China in fulfilling its global ambitions, according to this article. This article that I really like from NBC News right here talks about TikTok, a privacy threat, sure, but so are most of your smartphone apps. So really, are you going to like ban every single app from your smartphone? As we mentioned before, like Amazon ramped up their scrutiny of TikTok on Friday, and after a leaked internal email said company employees needed to remove the app from their phones. Amazon later clarified that no such edict has actually been issued. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about the TikTok app and the whole political aspect. We're here to talk about money. Like, obviously, TikTok is a private company. You can actually invest into the company, but this can actually lead to potentially other China-based companies also being affected from this as well. So we're going to look into like the money aspect of it, like what market is it been going down in the past week? Is it something that you should be worried about? Should you sell your shares and just forget all China-based companies altogether? Or should you just kind of hold it, see where it takes place, buy it at a lower price, and just wait until it rises back up? Now, in terms of the company itself, ByteDance, they're actually thinking about starting an IPO eventually, or thought about starting an IPO in 2020, but it seems like this controversy kind of kicked it back. But Let's check out this article real quick. Though ByteDance owner has been knocked back any plans for a 2020 IPO, it examined some of the latest statistics from the company's flagship app, TikTok. In 2018, ByteDance has an implied valuation of $75 billion, followed by a $3 billion investment from the SoftBank's legendary Masayoshi Son. Moreover, though TikTok remains ByteDance's most prominent app and product, it should be noted that ByteDance is also behind a number of other established products and apps across the globe. And a big concern that I have if this does become an IPO is obviously the vast majority of copyrighted music. There was a big like DCM takedown of like Twitch, for example. I mean, YouTube had it for a long time. And if TikTok does become a publicly traded company, I'm sure that would also face many DCM takedowns of possible copyrighted music. That's pretty much the main reason why most people use TikTok, is for the copyrighted music, dancing to it or lip syncing to it or whatever the case is. So that is pretty much the fear of like, if this does go IPO, and like maybe it might not be such a great investment in that regard. Another concern to have with TikTok is that it, similar to like Snapchat, it might just be a fad. You know, like if you remember Snapchat when it first came out, it IPO'd for a huge amount. Let's actually look at the chart real quick. Now, if you remember Snapchat, it IPO'd at around 25 bucks, which is actually pretty fair. And then it quickly dipped. But in recent months though, around 2019, it started to pick back up. And then it dipped a little bit again, and then went straight back up to pretty much its IPO price. And it took how many years? It took 3 years to get back to its current place where it IPO'd. So if you bought an IPO and held it, I guess you got your money back. And I kind of speculate that this is actually going to be applicable if TikTok ever goes to an IPO state as well and go public. So if you are interested in picking up some TikTok shares, or at least ByteDance's share, because it's not just TikTok, obviously they have more than just all the applications that they make and stuff like that, as they mentioned in this article. But TikTok is definitely their number one, their highest growing multi-billion-dollar valuation here. According to this article, implies a valuation of about 90 billion to 100 billion right here. Now, according to this article, obviously is not completely accurate and true, because obviously it's not IPO'd yet, but they're thinking the starting bid would be around $114 per share, with an offer $124. That's insane. That's pretty insane. So at that price, I think it's overvaluated. I personally wouldn't be getting it initially and during the IPO. For the most part, I don't see it being worth that much. Now, according to this article right here, ByteDance surpasses Baidu and Tencent in digital ad revenue. Now, for those who founded China stocks like Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, they're traditionally considered the three largest, in fact, digital advertising platforms in China. Baidu owning the country's largest search engine, which is kind of like Google. Alibaba considering the largest platform in paid product listings, which is like Amazon. And Tencent, WeChat, the top mobile app, I guess kind of like Facebook messaging maybe. Kind of like what we talked about before, Tencent also being another company trying to get into the Twitch competing landscapes, compete against Amazon in that department. So it's kind of tough to say where basically ByteDance is going to go from here. If they're going to IPO in 2021, perhaps. We're going to see what this fallout is. Yeah, according to Investopedia here, in February 2019, the company's paid $5.7 million of the US to settle allegations that it allegedly collected personal data from children. It is also the largest civil penalty ever attained by the FTC in the children's privacy case. So obviously they're willing to pay that kind of money to show that it is a legit company. It is something that's going to be safe for kids. That pretty much shows that they're trying to like at least alleviate some of that and relieve some of that fear with China stocks, especially with ByteDance and TikTok. Now, in terms of IPO, if it does actually go live, would you consider it? Should you consider it? If you're just looking just for the social media and aspect of it, do you think it might be like the next kind of like Facebook, just kind of branch out more than just TikTok and what it is now? Because obviously a lot of people had similar fears with Facebook just being a fad and all that, and now look at it, it's one of the top grossing social media companies out there. And they also have, you know, Facebook gaming, they also do advertisement, they own Instagram, and in a way TikTok could also be like that as well. So it has a lot of potential. So that's something to consider putting in the back of your mind when you consider potentially investing in this company. So I wouldn't hold it against it yet. I'll just kind of like wait till the news kind of shimmers down a little bit. Shimmers down? cools down. Yeah, this cool down is probably a better word. But yeah, wait for the company to cool down a little bit before we go ahead and think about investing into this, if it does ever IPO. Now let's talk about a little bit about the other China markets out there. Should you be afraid of those potentially getting banned and shut down? A company like Alibaba. Now we won't go into too much detail with this, obviously, but basically, like we mentioned before, Alibaba is pretty much the Amazon equivalent in China. It has an valuation about $251 per share as of right now. I think it IPO'd around 80, right? Yeah, around $80. Like, this is one of the very first IPOs that I bought personally, and I'm glad I kept it. But there was some controversy with that as well. There was like people like selling like used or fake products on their website. Pretty much a ban on like, you know, like a cleanup of that. And as you can see, it's been quickly rising up from like 2016 up to about 2017 is when it really spiked up and really showed significance in the market. And now it's currently evaluated around, like I said, $250. But with this whole idea of it potentially being banned, let's look at the past week. When the news broke down like last week, July 6th, it actually went up by almost $10 a share. And it kind of stayed a little bit for the week, see what the news is, and then it spiked again on the 8th. So as you can see, it showed no effect whatsoever from the whole TikTok ban. Let's actually take a look at another China company, another big one, Baidu. Let's look at last week, around, let me see, about April 6th. It actually went up again, and it kind of stayed a little bit around the same area. So regardless, it went up. It kind of spiked a little bit down a little bit as the week went on, but for the most part, it's still higher than where it was before the news. Let's quickly look at Tencent real quick. Obviously, I talked about this last week, and I personally bought some shares around, I think, the 6th or 7th of July, which is like right around here. So it was around $67, and it also went up now to $69 a share. It went as high as 71, kind of dipped a little bit. Now it's showing back to like about 68, but still I bought it at 66, like roughly $66. So that also showed no effect. So as you can see, like right now, obviously it should affect that immediately in the market because actually there's no physical ban. That's kind of like the point of getting around it. Like, you shouldn't really fear too much about like news such as this. As a content creator, I can kind of see that fear. Like, oh, like especially if you're big on TikTok, make money from sponsors from TikTok, then yeah, I would fear like your whole platform just shutting down. That's why I always recommend to content creators to kind of diversify in other medias, not just on one platform. Like for example, for us, we do Twitch, we do YouTube, we also have Instagram, we also do our own Facebook as well. So we have our own, you know, diversification there, and we also have our own like investment account as well that we also manage as a tag team. But for the most part, like always diversify. Don't just rely on one eggs or one basket and hoping that one egg will just gonna, you know, grow up to be humongous chicken. I don't know the metaphor here, but basically, yeah, never throw one eggs in one basket, and just diversify, branch out, do some crazy cool stuff in other medias out there. Hell, jump into TikTok as well, and you know, do some videos on TikTok because that is still available in US. It's not banned. There's no regulation made on it as of right now. But I guess the question you can ask yourself is, like, if there is regulations to ban TikTok, will that affect the market? And that is something that we have to determine at a later time. I personally think that it could temporarily, but it's not going to do it permanently. In my personal opinion, it's actually a good time to buy when it ever does dip, because I personally want to buy more Tencent, I personally want to buy more Baidu, and I also want to make some more Alibaba stocks as well. Yeah, it IPO'd around 2005, so it started at $12 per share. Now look at it, at $127. So it shows that these do have great potentials. All right, guys, that pretty much concludes today's video. Obviously, like I mentioned before, this is just my personal take, my personal journey, if you will, in the stock market stuff. And it's always fun to talk about these kind of topics in these videos, and you know, like the good, the bad, the ugly with the stock market. But obviously, if you guys do enjoy this content and want to see more of it, have any questions down below, leave some comments. Let me know. I try to read all the questions and all the comments that in the videos that we have here. And obviously, if you guys want to check out our Twitch channel, we do live stream there every Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You just want to hang out, chill, talk about stocks, investments, the game, you know, you just want to just hang out with the study boys. It'd be nice to kind of see your faces and just talk to us like live. You know, that's always cool. As I mentioned before, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and show some support. Check out today's sponsored video and grab your free stocks. And you know, that's pretty much all I got. I'll see you next video. Till next time, it's Talos out. All right, laters.